body's a pocket.
It's about 6 feet long and 1.5 feet wide. It's made out of a really thick, heavy-looking metal. Along the top, there's an ornate design. It looks like something straight out of a horror movie.
This ghoulish object recalls the shocking truth behind a sinister secret.
This is the story of an investigation that turned the world of science upside down.
It's October 4th, 2011 in New York City. Crews at a construction site in Queens are digging up an old parking lot when they make an astounding discovery. There, beneath the asphalt, are a set of human remains.
For the construction crew, it was probably a little frightening. It's not a normal day on the job when that happens.
The police are summoned immediately. The body seems to be that of a young African-American woman in her 20s. She's wearing a white nightgown and knee-high socks. And from the state of decomposition, it appears as if she died within the previous few decades. Given the nature and location of her grave, the police initially suspect foul play.
She looked like she had been a recent murder victim.
But there's a problem with this theory. The parking lot had been paved almost 30 years earlier, and there is no sign that it had been disturbed before the construction crew dug it up.
The body didn't look decades old, like the parking lot was. Something about this case was odd.
So the police call in a forensic archaeologist from the medical examiner's office. 52-year-old Scott Warnosh.
Warnosh was a leader in his field, and he was definitely the guy to call if there was a weird case to be had.
Warnosh checks the victim for any signs of violence.
He examined the body looking for specific signs of trauma, blood, cuts, scrapes, but he didn't find any. What he did find were small raised bumps all over her chest, her head, her arms, her legs, all over her body. These bumps were a very strange thing to have found on a potential murder victim.
But that's not all. Next to the body, Warnosh finds dozens of mangled iron shards. And when he has the metal examined, the results show that the pieces are more than 150 years old. It's yet another baffling clue.
The metal shards and the bumps on the body, he knew that all of this was connected, but he just could not put those last few clues together.
So who is this mysterious woman, and how did she die? Lives are shed. It's 2011. At a construction site in Queens, New York, workers have unearthed something mysterious. The remains of a woman. So what's the story behind this curious cadaver? On a hunch, Warnosh calls in the Centers for Disease Control to examine the strange bumps covering the body. They run a series of tests, and what they reveal is truly bizarre. The woman wasn't murdered at all. Rather, she perished of the dreaded disease, smallpox.
Smallpox was a highly contagious disease throughout the 1800s. It would cover the victim in small, fluid-filled lesions all over their body. Eventually, those lesions would get into your brain or into your organs and would kill you.
The finding leaves the scientists baffled.
Smallpox has been eradicated thanks to vaccines. There had not been a reported case since 1980. So how could this woman have died of smallpox, which was eradicated 30 years ago?
Technicians analyze the victim's hair and teeth to determine how long she's been in the ground. The results are surprising.
The year that she died was somewhere around 1850, which was over 160 years ago.
So why does the body look relatively fresh? To find out, Scott Warnish digs into old U.S. Census data. Using the approximate date of the woman's death and the location where her remains were found, he's able to identify her as Martha Peterson. According to records, Peterson was employed as a housekeeper for a wealthy businessman named William Raymond, and his company, Fisk and Raymond, made an unusual specialty item: airtight iron coffins.
These heavy iron coffins perfectly preserved the bodies that were placed in them, and they also helped to cut down on the spread of infectious diseases like smallpox.
Warnish concludes that Peterson's body must have been placed in one of the iron coffins and laid to rest in Queens. There, she remained undisturbed for 160 years as the city grew around her, until a backhoe smashed the casket into tiny shards of metal that were found around the body.
Warnish was relieved to have finally solved probably the strangest case in his professional history.
In 2016, Martha Peterson is given a proper burial by a church in Queens. Today, an original Fisk and Raymond airtight iron coffin is on display at the Pink Palace Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. It recalls the deadly preserved mystery that was found lurking beneath a New York City parking lot.